Let's talk position changes and also encourage the transfer phase during the offseason in college football 25. I will argue this is probably the most important point of your dynasty, man, especially during the offseason. Transfer portal trash. Position changes and then also encourage the transfer is pretty much setting your team up for the future, man. Transfer portal does not do that. It's just not that good in this year game. Guess what? They have an opportunity to make it better in about 48 days with the brand new college football 26 game. If you're excited for that content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate the support on the ebook/membership, going crazy. So with that being said, let's hop into the video. So we talked a lot about position changes, so much about position changes, man, all throughout the year. One thing you just want to make sure you're doing is when you have athlete commits, here we obviously have a crazy recruiting class. First of all, we have 22 5-stars in this class, 12 4-stars. But one thing I love to do is to go through and look at my elite development players, freshmen for position changes. At this point, you can move guys around to other positions because you're at position change week, but you wouldn't be able to see that development trait if you didn't come over here to the National Signing Day and actually seeing it, man. So say we need a D lineman. You know, right here, you got an elite development running back. You know you can move him to D-line and he'll be a star, man. He'll be a star. Do you want to do it? Maybe not, because he's 6'1", 188 pounds. But in reality, he was developed to be an excellent D lineman with that 94 speed. Height, weight really do not matter how it should in this game. You see a guy like this, he's an athlete, so you know he could also play defense. He only got that impact development, but keep that in mind. You got a hybrid safety with 99 speed. How often do you see this, man? How often do you see a hybrid safety with 99 speed? The unfortunate part about this video game, he would never develop past like an 85 overall, man. He probably would max out like 82, 83 because hybrid safeties do not develop in this game. But guess what? You can move him over to cornerback and have him turn into the best possible corner in the game, slot. You're looking at a 99 speed slot cornerback here, man. It don't get much better than that in this video, and just for cornerbacks, man. He's 6'2", 194 pounds, 99 speed, good coverage ratings coming out the jump. 79 on the man, 72 on the zone. This is damn near a generational athlete, man. I got to look at his overall. But point is, you want to come in here, look at these guys, see who you can move around. You need a D lineman. Moving wide receivers to D line is also an excellent play. Like I said, height, weight seem to not matter for offense and defensive linemen. It seemed to matter for corners and receivers, but other positions not so much. So here we got an elite development wide receiver who's an athlete, and we got two choices: move him to safety, corner, or keep him at receiver. I would keep a guy like this at receiver. It is tough to find good receivers. It's challenging to find good receivers with great skill caps. You know he got elite development. You know he's gonna have some good skill caps, man. Keep him at receiver. I would suggest that because it's tougher to find good receivers. It's easy to find a good corner or safety, honestly, if you know what you're doing with position changes. And some of these 5-star safeties are just goofy, man. We got another 99 speed safety. I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen this many of them throughout the year. Another 99 speed safety. He's a 5-star gem, all that, elite development. He's a zone guy, not even a hybrid. Coming in with 99 speed. That's a guy you could also transition to a slot corner. That's, you know, the best corner in the game. Or you could keep him at safety, where zone safety, in my opinion, is the best safety by far, by a mile, best safeties. So I would definitely keep a guy like this at safety. And lastly, when you get a guy like this, you see his development. We didn't scout his attributes, but we could obviously just go over to our team, our position changes, and see what his actual attributes are looking like. But when you see a guy like this, normal development, scrambling quarterback athlete, do not keep him at quarterback. He's not at quarterback. Move him to corner, safety. Corner safeties have much more forgiving skill caps, and they could get a lot better in overall. If a quarterback has bad skill caps and throw power or accuracy, you know, it's done. It's over with, man. You move them over to corner safety, they still become a phenomenal player at those positions. So when you have guys like this that might be a bust, you know, move them to a position where, you know, it's less likely for them to actually be a bust. I was about to say something crazy, man. I was about to say something so crazy. But same thing here, man. John, he's a running back, normal development. He was a bust. You know, I would move him to D-line because guess what? If you move a bust to D-line, if you have a bust on the D-line, I feel like we just got to throw in a no Diddy. But when you have one of these guys on D-line with the red X mark, they can actually become a good player. You know, they can actually become 88, 89, 90 overall sometimes and still produce crazy compared to running backs when they're a bust. They might max out 83 as a 4 or 5-star, man. I seen it. I had a 5-star max out at 83 overall at running back. D-line, that does not happen. They get a lot better, and overall, just no skill caps is very different from offense and defense. Offense seem to be a lot less forgiving. If you have a bust, move them to defense, man. It really don't matter what position. Bust quarterback, whatever. You move them to defense or O-line, and their skill caps are just a lot more forgiving for the defensive players in this game. I don't know why. And the unfortunate part, like when you're moving these rookies around, you can't just press triangle on them. You got to remember their name, or you got to go back over to the other screen, the National Signing Day screen, see their dev trait. Unfortunately, you can't see their actual skill caps until they get on campus, but you could kind of get a good idea by their, rating, and then also, their development trait, how good their skill cap's going to be. So just, be very intentional when you're doing this position changes. Like I said, this is probably the most important point of the offseason, when it comes to your players, one, developing better, and also, like, you're just able to finesse, man. You got a guy maxed out at receiver. Y'all know at this point, move him over to corner, and he's going to become an elite corner. A guy like this, 95 speed. Let's say we just want to move him over to corner. He's a 52 overall corner. He's still going to develop. He's going to develop to be a very good corner, man. And it might be surprising, but that's just how this game works, man. You got a guy like this who might be maxed out. He's only a 70-something overall. We move him over to corner. Well, let's move this guy to safety, man. He's a 48 overall safety. He will develop. We could just keep doing that with a bunch of players. You do it with young guys, freshmen, and they'll actually develop, be good players. So we hit training results. We moved those two guys. Let's go just take a peek to see if they actually developed at all. And Floyd is up to a 80 overall. He just was a 48. We moved him to safety. Now he's an 80 with the boost. He's our best strong safety. Like, easy, simple. 95 awareness, man. The stats get a little bit weird. The zone man coverage not great, but he could be a guy, man. If you do this to guys earlier in their career, they're able to develop more as, whatever position you move him to. Corner, he turns into an 82 overall corner. Is he a starter? No, but next year maybe. This is a guy that was maxed out. Both those guys was maxed out overall and much lower at receiver. Like I said, when you move guys to defense, their skill caps just get a lot more forgiving. So if you do a lot of recruiting like we did with this class, we're going to have to cut so many players, man. We're going to probably have to cut 20, 30 players for this recruiting class. It is what it is. We have so many quarterbacks, so many freshman quarterbacks. Who do you cut? The unfortunate part, when you advance past this training results, as y'all know, you cannot see players' actual skill caps or their development trait, which is insane that you can't see that, man. It's literally the one point in the season where you have to cut players, and for some reason I'm locked out from not being able to see their skill caps and the development trait, the thing that matters the most. All you can see is their overall, and you can actually see their attributes from this screen, and you can see what year they are. But like in this situation, when we got so many freshmen, it's like on the right side of the screen, like next to their overall, it should just say their development trait. Like it could easy under that overall just say elite, star, impact, normal. Right under that overall, something simple like that. So just so we're able to better know what we're working with, especially with position changes and also throughout the year, man. So like this guy, he's a 82 overall, elite development 5-star. It's probably a guy we don't want to cut, man. But you have to manually go through every single position and see who's not going to make it. Who got the bad development trait or the bad skill caps? This guy right here, he was a 5-star bust. Normal development, skill caps a little bit brutal. He got 3 skill caps and accuracy matters the most for a quarterback. This is a guy you could have moved to defense, but at the same time, quarterbacks transition to defense always not the best unless they're athletes because they usually don't have enough speed. So just keep that in mind. But we just got to go through, and this is something you make sure you do, especially in situations like this when you got to cut a lot of players. Know who's going to get cut. Know who you don't want to get cut also. Like, understand who's your 5-stars. There have been plenty of situations where I don't go through and identify my 5-stars, my 4-stars, my guys with elite star development. And I just advance to, that next week and encourage transfer pop-up, and now I have no idea who's who, man. It's tough. It's tough because sometimes your top players don't actually develop, and you want to keep them around, but they might be the lowest overall guy, but they don't develop that first year. It might take them 2 years to develop. You end up cutting them, and now, they just disappear in the void. I don't even know what happens to players that get cut. I feel like they just go into a void. I feel like they don't even end up in the next recruiting class. I think a perfect example of that is going to be Kyle Zimmerman, right here, man. So when you look at the quarterbacks that we could cut, it's going to be the redshirt freshmen. We can't cut the freshmen because they're fresh to campus. We can only cut the redshirt freshmen. And you look through and you see you probably going to have to make it like 5 to 6 quarterback cuts here. You know, you got 2 easy ones. The 2, maybe the senior and the junior, maybe you cut those 2 because we got a freshman as the best quarterback in the room. So that's 2 easy cuts. Then you also look at maybe the top lowest guys. These 2 easy cuts, they're in the 70s. Then you look at Kyle Zimmerman. But then you actually look at Kyle Zimmerman, elite development, 5-star quarterback, improviser, great archetype, improviser, field generals, a little bit better in my opinion. And then you get the skill caps, amazing skill caps. No skill cap on the accuracy, matters the most. No skill cap on the throw power, matters the most. Like, this is no skill cap on the speed. Like, this is a phenomenal quarterback prospect, man. And he didn't develop as good year 1 because look at his abilities. He decided to develop the abilities instead of the overall, and you have guys do that, man. He got 4 abilities, 1 on goal. You got guys like this with no abilities or 1 ability, but he's 1 higher overall. And you look at him, and he's also a 5-star elite development, excellent skill cast. First of all, we brought in some crazy recruiting classes with this Rutgers roster, but in reality, the guy that should get cut here, it probably should be Smiley. You know, he's the 82 overall. We got Shaquille, who is a 82 also scrambling quarterback, elite development, 5-star, skill caps, amazing skill caps. But if you don't actually go through this, you might end up cutting a guy like Smiley, who is not as good. You know, 5-star, star development, good player for 9 out of 10 programs. You look at them skill caps, man, brutal. You got skill caps in the worst possible spots. Accuracy, throw power. The 2 things that matter the most for a quarterback, man. As an athlete, he can become amazing. Move him over to running back. Move him over to defense. He might even be able to play corner, you know, with that speed. Quarterback, maybe, but, you know, the skill caps is just not ideal for what you want with some of these other guys got amazing skill caps. So just keep that in mind. You know, you want to go through and identifying guys. You can do this for every single position. Quarterback probably just matters the most because, you know, bad skill caps for quarterback hurts a lot compared to some other positions. So when you're cutting players, just make sure you're just not cutting anyone because, like I said, sometimes that first year the player will not jump up in overall. You know, they might go up 1, 2 overalls, even though they're a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star elite development player, because that first year they might have upgraded their actual abilities instead of their overall. Now, year 2, then they might go crazy. They'll shoot up 13 overalls. I've seen it happen plenty of times. I'm sure y'all seen it as well, man. Year 2, year 3, junior year, guys, senior year, shoot up in overall out of nowhere compared to the first year. They didn't, and it happens. Then you get some guys like this. As a true sophomore, he shoots up to a 90 overall. You know, it's random. We know at this point, man, player progression is super random in this game. So just keep that in mind. And another perfect situation of like where you might just go ahead and cut this guy, man. You see he's a redshirt sophomore. He's a lower overall than your redshirt freshman. And you might, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this guy because he's older and, you know, he's lower in overall by 2. I will argue, no, this is not a guy you should cut, man. Like, this is not, you know, come in here, you look at him, he's a 3-star, star development guy. But the skill cap's not bad for a lineman. Like, he could become a very good lineman. It's also cheap for him to continue to upgrade. So if he actually touches the field, like, he might shoot up in overall throughout the season. And then also, it just takes 1 good year, 1 good lucky year of off-season training for him to shoot up in overall. But those skill caps are not bad. That's a player that I don't think you should cut. You look at this guy. This is also a player I wouldn't consider cutting, but the skill caps are kind of similar, I would argue, man. And he has worse development trait. Yes, he's a 5-star, but I feel like 5 stars only matter when you're recruiting them. When they get to campus, the only 2 things in my head that matters is development trait and skill caps. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Like, once they actually get on campus, do high school rating matter at all? I feel like it doesn't. It shouldn't, at least in this game. Maybe it do, but it shouldn't. At this point, the only things that should matter is development trait and skill caps. Now, the other guy, he has a better development trait and skill caps similar. Now, the one thing that this guy has over, or I should say two things, he has a better overall than the other guy. This guy has better abilities. He has two abilities, two physical abilities, compared to the other guy that has none. But I don't know. Like I said, this is a guy, these are two guys I just wouldn't cut. I would just try to find someone else on the roster before I cut two guys like that, man. And like I said, player progression is just so random. So just because, like, you got two DNs, both freshmen, 5 stars, but one jumps up to an 81 overall, one jumps up to an 85 after both redshirting. But, like, they have the same exact archetype. They was same exact overall when they came out of high school. Same exact everything. Same development trait, their impact developments, both didn't play that freshman year, both 5 stars. Why did one guy develop way more than the other guy is all because of their randomness or the randomness of this game when it comes to just development. Now, in the end, this guy might end up being a higher overall when it's all said and done. Junior year, senior year. This guy could definitely be the higher overall between these two players, man. None of them got badges or abilities, physical abilities, so they're just developing unevenly now. But when it's all said and done, it usually evens out for guys with the same development trait and also that comes in with similar overall and as well as like similar skill caps, similar tendencies as well, man. So just go throughout your roster, you know, before you get to the encourage the transfer phase, because once you're there, you're cooked, man. You don't know who's who. You're kind of playing a guessing game. You don't know who's the steppers, who's not, you know, who's the elite development players that just didn't develop just yet. And yeah, you can force them to transfer, but a lot of times they do end up turning out to be good players. It might just take them an extra year. So just keep that in mind. So last thing, shout out to Max Plays, my guy. So when you do hit the encourage the transfer phase, one thing he has figured out is like your overall team, your team overall is heavily dependent on all your players' ratings. So when you're going through this phase, if you care about team overall, I don't think it actually matters at all. Like if you sim every game and you have a 99 overall team, I don't think that matters. I think it matters much more your actual individual starters. So if your quarterback if your quarterback is 60 overall, every other player on your team a 99, and your team overall 99, I don't think your team would do that good because the most important position is not that good. We've seen that exact thing happen when our linemen only rebuild. We had great players everywhere on the field. Our team overall was like a 94. But we had a 60 overall, like 70 overall quarterback. We could not win anything because our quarterback was not playing enough. So I believe it all depends on like actual player overalls and like at the positions that they're starting at. Also like your scheme, what playbook you're running, do those players fit that playbook defensively and offensively as well? I don't think your actual overall matters. But a reason I say shout out to Max Plays because he figured out, I think this might have been obvious to some people, but if you cut the low overall players, then that'll boost your team overall. So if you a person that care about team overall, cut the low overall players. It's a simple concept, man. The more higher overall players you have, the higher your team overall would be. So in theory, you know, when you bringing in these freshmen and they're coming in with the 73 overall, or if you're going at 3 stars, 4 stars, 2 stars, and they come in lower overalls, that's lowering your team overall, man. And more so, I think that your team overall should be like your starters. You know, why do the 5th string quarterback that's a freshman, why do he contribute to my team overall when he's never going to touch the field? You know, at least not that freshman year. So I think the overall thing is a little bit shaky, but just understand if you want your team overall to be boosted, you got to cut the low overall players, and that'll boost your team overall tremendously. But that's all I got for y'all boys today. I just want y'all to be a little bit more intentional about y'all position changes, who y'all cutting, and not just going to it completely blind, because you could cook your roster, man. You could cut one of your favorite players that, you know, you thought was going to be a gem coming out of college. He just didn't develop yet. I don't want y'all to do that because I've definitely been there before, and it's frustrating when you're looking back at it, man. But other than that, if y'all enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, man. Also, comment any questions y'all have about college football 25, college football 26. I'm going to drop a video where I just answer questions that y'all have about the video games, have about whatever. So feel free to drop that below. And click the video on the screen now for my Mississippi State rebuild.